This is the best of Chad Benson.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Oh, my Lord. You know, I was thinking about this professor at UC Davis who's nuts. And think about the young generation that is getting indoctrinated in college, right? And college used to be what? The bastion of free speech, free ideas. You're supposed to be a little bit more liberal, but you're not supposed to be to the point where you're being indoctrinated. You're supposed to be getting introduced to ideas. You go to maybe a business class and maybe the guy's a little bit more conservative, but you're hearing his views or her views. And then you go over to humanities professors, or you go over to your English professors, and they're going to be a little bit more liberal, right? And you're getting the views and you talk them out, right? You go out, you talk them out. Hey, we're talking it out. This is good. We're learning these things. And when you're younger, you're supposed to be a little bit more liberal. You're supposed to be a little bit more idealistic. You're supposed to be a little bit more of a person who is, you're coming to your own and you're throwing in your ideas and, hey, that sounds good, man. We can all get together, love, peace, all the. It's supposed to be that way. But I want you guys to understand this kind of stuff. It's going on at UC Davis with a college professor who is an absolute clown, right? Professor Clover, who is advocating and saying, yeah, it's good. Yeah, kill the cops. It's good. Yeah, when their backs turned, it's a good time to shoot them. I mean, and let's get rid of all cops, as if like, what happens then? Are we just, is it the purge? Right? Should we just get rid of all laws? I mean, do I get to do that? Is there going to be a siren? And are we going to go out and do whatever we want and there's no repercussions? I'm curious. Who do you call when something goes wrong? And where does it end? What about the fire department? Do we get rid of them next because maybe they couldn't save somebody's house and it was a person of color's house? My God, they couldn't save it in time. So we've got to get rid of them because, as we can tell through the patriarchy and through their sexism and their racism, we've got to get rid of them. And they were friends with the police. So for the love of God. But I want you guys to understand where this is headed. I keep talking about this. I don't think people understand. A younger generation is coming out of college, and a good portion of them are more libertarian, and that's kind of the most conservative you're going to get. There's a few in there that are conservative, but a lot of them are more libertarian, right? They're not insane, but there is a large group that has these feelings. And somebody like AOC is a perfect example of somebody who is coming out and probably thinks, oh, maybe his professor's onto something. We realize maybe he's gone too far in some of the things he said. But there's a lot of people out there that buy that. And those people will eventually be the ones coming in, flooding into the workplace world, flooding in to politics, as you're seeing. And it's going to change a lot of things. It really is. It really, really is. I know a lot of people out there are like, oh, we should get rid of this guy. I'm a free speech guy. I'm all about free speech. But the problem is, it's the people who get to decide what the free speech is or isn't. This professor, right? This guy who's just tweeted some awful things. It was getting a pass because UC Davis, and like a lot of other college campuses, they just... Well, he's supposed to be that way. It's okay for him to be controversial. It's okay for him to push the bounds of stuff. And but they've got the faculty code, and you read some of the stuff, and I'm reading, and I'm like, well, I don't know if you could find a way to get rid of this guy if that's what you really wanted to do. But we live in a world of fear to do things, right? Fear to say anything. Fear to say anything because the backlash and the outcry of what may come could be huge. Even if it's the right thing to do, we can't get rid of him because people are going to freak out. People are going to go crazy. I'm afraid of the mob on the internet more than I'm actually afraid of whether or not I'm doing the right thing, So I'll just let them control. I say it over and over. If we let the flea continue to wag the tail that can wag the dog, we're in trouble as a nation. We're in trouble as a nation. Our founding fathers never worried about outside destroying us, right? We're protected in so many ways just from the natural barrier of people trying to invade us and stuff. You know, they worried about us eating ourselves from within. And that is a fear here. That is a fear. Other professors have said things controversial and gotten fired for it, right? But for whatever reason, you know, she's too busy. Chancellor, I got stuff going on. I'm busy. I'm worried about this, you know. We got some things over here. There's supposed to be a decency towards all and a commitment to nonviolent exchange in some of these things here that are the principles of the community and the stuff that they're dealing with. I don't see that. I don't see any of that in these exchanges that this guy has. It's ridiculous. Do I want him fired? That's not for me to say. My biggest issue out of all of this is free speech. If a conservative had said something like this, even a libertarian, they'd be done. Right? If they would have said, I'm glad Trump's building the wall. If they would have worn a MAGA hat on campus, my God, what would have happened? The insanity of it all. If a business professor on the campus would have said, look, illegal immigration is bad. It drives wages down. Only a few people benefit from it. It's part of crony capitalism, and the pressure it puts on in local communities is a negative thing. Xenophobe, racist, sorry, you can't say that. That's my biggest issue. This guy's a scumbag. He is what he is. He lives in academia, not in the real world. Most of these people do. The big issue besides that, though, is the people that they're funneling out a lot of these schools are pissed and angry as well and have been told for years that, hey, the world's bad and you're going to change it. America's bad, you're going to change it. America's evil, you're going to change it. Patriarchy, there. Racism everywhere, you're going to change it. America's bad. Everything about America, the way it was built, everything about America is bad, bad, bad. And you guys are going to change it. And that's what's coming out. It's something to think about, kids. It is. It really, really is something to think about. And my frustration, as I've talked to a lot of people, because I had people yesterday tweeting at me and texting me about this, saying things like, well, maybe we should legislate. This is hate speech. We should legislate. I said, no, I don't want to legislate speech. I don't. First of all, if you do something like that, that means somebody gets to say yay or nay on the speech side of things, right? There gets to be the speech police. Who gets to be the speech police? Who's the one who gets to be the speech police? Who's the one who gets to do that? I don't want any of that. But when conservatives and libertarians get pissed at situations like this and everybody yells at, oh, Fox or Breitbart's twisting things and stuff and it's not really happening, when they get mad, it's easy to point to stuff and say, look, this is it. I've always asked liberals, why do you freak out on campus when a Ben Shapiro shows up, right? Who's just terrifying, right? Ben is terrifying. Or a Milo. Or, you know, a Crowder. Or any. Why do you freak out? Like, what is going to happen that makes you freak out? What are you going to hear that's going to send you into a tailspin? Well, it's their hate. As perceived by you. Okay. It's just insane. Between things like this and what you saw at Berkeley a couple weeks ago with that kid getting punched in the face where you just shake your head and you think to yourself, this right here is why conservatives and libertarians get pissed off. Free speech seems to only be for one side of the aisle. And in a place where speech and ideas should be open, and they should be at times extreme, and it should be at times rational. It should be at times just crazy, and you throw it all around and you learn and you grow. The problem is one side is having their speech completely It shuddered like a ghost town from the 1800s, and it's wrong. It is. It's absolutely wrong. And when you have an indoctrination that is happening in a lot of ways, and those people are coming out, these young minds who vote only one side, and they're bringing with them idealistic things that are just skewed, and at times almost a vengeance, that they feel like that they're going to take up some sort of warrior attitude towards the way that things used to be. It's a scary thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. MyPillow's great. I got so much traveling over the next, umpteen weeks. Right? I'm going to be traveling all over the place. In fact, next Friday, I've been hanging out in Los Angeles, doing all of these stuff, hanging out with A&G and everybody else. We're going to be doing all these panels and stuff for radio. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited about it. But, man, thank God I got my Go Anywhere pillow from MyPillow. Because last night I slept. In fact, let's take a peek at my little sleepy watch here. I slept 6 hours and 40 minutes, which was amazing. Which is absolutely amazing. And I slept like hello. It was awesome. I was a skeptic of MyPillow. Put your skepticism to the test. Still got a money-back guarantee going on. 100% machine washable and dryable. Made in the USA. 10-year warranty. Now you're going to get 4 pillows. 2 premium pillows. 2 go-anywhere pillows. Half the price. Free shipping. It is simple and easy. Call 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. BENSON. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code is Benson. Or call 800-944-4975 or visit MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
We're hearing about a lot of Democratic candidates who are meeting with Hillary Clinton for advice, though. So people like Amy Klobuchar. Do you think you'll do the same?
I suspect not. Hillary has not. She has not called me. Look, we have differences. Hillary has played a very important role in modern American politics.
Yeah. But you're not interested in any advice from her?
I think not.
I think not. You know what? You mean the same one that was like conspiring with everybody else in the Democratic Party to steal the opportunity for me to have a chance to run against the guy that's president now? That Hillary? No. I don't think I want anything to do with her. You know what? We do have something in common. Neither of us are president. Because Hillary's got plenty of advice. Super plenty of advice. She's still going, there's plenty of other guys that were mean who have been president. You're not getting it. You're not. Go back and look at presidents over the last. Let's start with, Nixon. Maybe. Ford had a weird charm. Carter had a charm. Let's be honest, Reagan, right? Bush had some sort of he was just a good human being. You could tell that, right? Clinton had a magnetic charm, right? And everybody I know that's met W says, man, the minute you get I have 2 friends who met him who are the big super progressives. Like, he was the nicest guy I've ever met, right? And I've had some conservative friends who've met Clinton. Like, that guy's great. Obama? Absolutely. Super charming. Great guy. Right? And even Cohen said he mesmerized him, right? Something about him. There was none of that with Hillary. Look at the crowds, right? She couldn't start a wave if it was one person and she was the person. Nobody's following her. You got more to say, Bernie, because you are on The View, right?
What do you think Hillary did wrong to lose to someone like Trump?
I'm not enthusiastically going back to 2016, but I think in some ways she didn't reach out to working class people in the way I think she should have. There were states where she did not campaign as vigorously as she should have, in Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe some other states. But that was 2016. In my view, Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in modern American history.
Yeah, and you could say all that, but you got to get elected first. And no matter what anybody says, personality is vitally important. There is, and now maybe more so than ever. I mean, look at the world that we live in, for God's sakes, where personality is There's a cult of personality. Even Bernie has this weird kind of cantankerous old neighbor charm from like a 60s television show. You nasty kids. Like oh my God, Scooby-Doo, and then we're going to have to come and solve the mystery. And then they take it off and it's old man Bernie. He's just got something about him. She never had that. If you're going to relive anything and you're going to sit here and you're going to take it apart as so many people have, and you're going to blame it on, well, America's sexist, this, and that. No, it's none of that. You were an awful candidate, right? You were. Even if it was the greatest candidate in the world, if you can't get people excited about what it is that you're bringing to the table, you can have everything. You can be upstanding and brilliant and all of those things. And if you cannot get it out to the people for them to understand and to consume in such a way in mass, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. You know that, and I know that. And that was her big thing. She rested on the fact that she thought she had all of these things and he was just a buffoon. But when he went in front of people, he was able to get them excited about something, and she could not do it. There you go. Solve the problem. Wow, Chad, you're amazing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. People are texting in saying, what happened to respect in this country? Parents, where are parents? Where are people? People, respect is... I couldn't tell you what respect is anymore. I don't know. And again, that rant I went on, it was some, I think there's a reason for those kind of things. And you look at colleges across the country, you look at all of these things, and it's a weird time in America. And I think it's a great time in America. Don't get me wrong. I'm completely I'm buying America. If we were a stock, I'm buying the hell out of it. Just buying the hell out of America. But it doesn't mean we're not going to have some issues here and then. Doesn't mean we're not going to pull back a little bit, right? But then you know what I do then? We sort ourselves out. I buy more. I buy some more. I'm hot on America. If I was one of those stock guys, I'm like, I'm buying America. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Interesting is the best way to describe this. He's got a new book out. It's about his life and a lot of different things that we're going to talk to him about today. And this is a guy who's gone from the depths and is risen back up. And it is an American story that you will find nowhere else on earth. The book is called The Shot Caller, a Latino gangbanger's miraculous escape from a life of violence to a new life in Christ. It comes out April 2nd, paperback. Joining us now is the author, Casey Diaz. And first of all, just the journey itself, from you coming here from El Salvador to where you got to the position where you decided, hey, you know what, gangbanging seems like the right choice for me, is just so interesting.
Yeah, thank you for so much for having me. It's it's something that you don't plan for. It just kind of happens when in the place where you grow up, and that's as condensed as I can put it.
So you come from El Salvador, and again, it was at the time when it was, I remember those days, the kids coming from El Salvador that were just being reintroduced to schools in certain parts in Southern California, which is where you were, and they were escaping the Civil War and all that stuff. And with them, a lot of, at times came some, people who were able to escape that wanted a better life, and some who took what they learned there and brought here. How did you get sucked into that gang lifestyle?
It had a lot to do with, me in my household, the violence that was there with my father, a mom that worked long hours, who had to work 2 hours, two jobs, just to, keep a roof over her head and food on the table. and the environment, man. This is when very early in the 80s when the gang scene had just stepped into Los Angeles, and it was taking form. And when there's really nothing at the home to look forward to for a kid, the streets became very attractive. Very, you looked at it, the streets embraced you, and you embraced the streets.
Absolutely. Talking to Casey Diaz. His book's called The Shot Caller, Latinos Gangbangers' Miraculous Escape from a Life of Violence to a New Life in Christ. And that life of violence took you to eventually to prison. You were convicted, I believe it was second-degree murder and some 50-plus robberies. And you went not just into prison, you went into a deep solitary hole. And is that when things started to turn around for you?
Yeah, this is where, it became a little bit more serious, getting involved in the organized crime part of the prison population. And, it was prior to me getting born again, I lived for the thrill. And it was just something that you did. You didn't think about it twice. It was just something that you did, and the position that you held on to it, by doing some very outlandish crimes within the prison population.
Did you ever think to yourself, I mean, you're doing all of these things and you've got your gang we talk about this all the time here on my show, Casey, is the fact that, I look around the world and you see things like ISIS and you see all these other groups. A lot of times it's the same things. They're just gangbangers on the other side of the world who are taking people who are disenfranchised, who feel like they don't have a family, and saying this is the family. But I think for a lot of people, and you had to know this, I mean, you think you're invincible, but the reality is the only way out, and they always tell you, is either in a body bag or it's in prison for all intents and purposes.
That is the only way. It's almost like a signed contract that's being presented right before your eyes, and in order to get out, it usually means you losing your life if you ever desire to get out. And you know this coming in, so it doesn't shock you. You expect that. And for me, it was my conversion was such so that I knew what God had done in my heart and in my life in that cell in solitary, that I couldn't deny what happened. There was nobody coaching me. There was nobody really sitting down with me and letting me know the plan of salvation. It was just a little lady that from a prison ministry that came in and once a month would say, I'm praying for you, and Jesus is going to use you someday. And her consistency, her intercessory prayer, that's really what did the number on me inside that cell.
Absolutely. And it's very interesting, when you read about how it happened with you, again, 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, you're going through all these things and you're having somebody come in and say, hey, let me tell you something. I'm thinking about you. I'm praying about you. Somebody else out there really loves you. But on top of this, when you do this, you go out back into the community, you're helping people now, especially young kids, Hispanic kids who, as you know, are in the same path as you. The violence, the gangs, the money, from the cartels to the street gangs and all of this stuff. You need somebody like you out there who gets it, who's been through what they're going through. But it's very interesting. My thing is I've always said, did the gang let you escape, or how did they just finally say you're off limits? That's a very interesting thing I find to be, because you hear about these things that, like we said, you leave in a body bag or you leave in prison.
Yeah. And I think that's my message to, in these days and these times, that gangs should never be looked upon as something that's just you could just kind of brush off. I like what you said earlier and compared it to somewhat like organizations like ISIS, and it's exactly that. It's only in a civilized world, but the movements are the same, the recruiting is the same, and it's. I think my message today is warning the American people that this is a serious problem. I was in that cell, and for me, immediately when I stepped down, I knew the rules. I knew the consequences that would follow. And a hit was placed on my life. They gave what's called a green light on me. They put a green light on me, meaning, my life was required at that moment. And I just knew that God had changed my heart and my life. And if I was willing to die for my neighborhood, for my gang, and for this organization, how much more so was I ready to if my life was required for the gospel, then that's what was required, and I was okay with that.
It's crazy. Talking to Casey Diaz, The Shot Callers, the name of the book, a Latino gangbanger's miraculous escape from a life of violence to a new life in Christ. And you talk about America. You talk about the fact that you support Trump and the building of the wall and his decision for a state of emergency. And in a day and age, again, you were brought here. It was a much different time comparatively to now. But you were for this, and partly because you say, look, even though, as you well know, there's so many people that are coming here because they want the American dream. They see what's here. But there's a lot of people that are coming here who want nothing more than to bring their activities that they were doing in other countries here. And you get that.
I do. It's places like El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Costa Rica, all these places that, the gang population has overtaken, even law enforcement and city mayors and people of that sort. And, they're on dry land now. There's nothing to hunt over there anymore. And they see an opportunity here in America, and they're going to disguise themselves coming into these caravans. I mean, that's just going to happen. Just not too long ago, you had 23 MS-13 gang members disguised as regular people trying to cross the border, and they were caught. And so this is why, I know that some of the questions that are asked of me is, aren't you afraid that maybe you're saying a little bit too much about that? And I'm not. It's the truth, and I think that if you can't just put the truth underneath some carpet. You got to expose it, and you got to share it, and you got to be bold about it. And I think that, we can't be naive. Are people coming in here with good intentions? Absolutely. There's obviously a need in those countries, and they're trying to, better themselves, and they do have a dream that they want to fulfill. But there's a right way and a wrong way to come in here. And I think that, I strongly believe that the American people are just saying, come through the turnstiles, let us check you out, and if it's all good, man, you're more than welcome to come in here and pursue your dream and make something of yourself. There's nothing wrong with that, but come in the right way, and we can't be naive of the apex predators that are trying to come in here and rob and steal and kill and everything else that goes along with a gang organization.
What do you want people to take away from this book?
Christ. That's what I want them to take away. I want them to see that no matter how dark of a place they're in, no matter how desperate the situation may look, that there is still hope, that Christ still reigns, and he loves people, and he died for them. And, here's my story. I didn't have a father that told me, I love you, you can make it, you're going to be great in this life. I didn't have that. But I have a Savior and a Lord that has changed my world right side up, and I'm just so grateful to be alive and to be given not only a second chance, but he's the God of chances. And I just want people to read this book and immediately finishing this book, putting it down, and my prayer is that they would repent and come to Christ and find real life in him.
The gang that you were in, they're still operating from what I understand. Have they just kind of ignored you now? Or, and I'm sure there are still some that have survived long enough that maybe you still have some relationship with. Is that awkward?
Surprisingly, there was a time about, I want to say almost 10 years ago, one of the guys that I rode with, both on the streets and inside the penitentiary, he was a former mafia leader, and I was able to bring him to Christ. And we belonged to the same gang, and in the same thing, in the same mix of things. And I was able to bring him to the Lord, and he's doing amazing out here, and God is blessing his life. He's married now. Went to college, got a college degree, and is doing. I mean, has adapted to society, and that's the difference. It's Christ. Christ is the difference in the life of a person.
It's just an interesting story, and I would be remiss if I didn't ask, talking to Casey Diaz, the shot caller, Latino gangbanger's miraculous escape from a life of violence to a life of Christ. You had victims out there. Did you try to reconcile with any of their family members or any of the people? Did you even remember who some of them were, because it was a fleeting moment in time?
It was a fleeting moment. I didn't. It was random gang leaders that I went after when I was out here in the street. So I have not bumped into any of them out here. If I would, I would absolutely be perfectly fine with asking for forgiveness from them and having a conversation with them if they would be open to that. I absolutely would. It's a hard thing to deal with. I still wrestle with those thoughts of the things that I've done. I know that God has forgiven me, but as a human, you've done some pretty bad things, and that those things are in your memory bank, and so from time to time I do wrestle with that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you spending time today. Again, I just find it fascinating. Growing up, a lot of times, the same time you and I was going to school in Long Beach, you were going to school, and you were doing your things, and it was just the book, and it's just a very fascinating look to where you went to and how you've come, and I appreciate you taking time today. Casey Diaz, the shot caller, a Latino gangbanger's miraculous escape from a life of violence to a new life in Christ. Thank you so very much, man. I appreciate this.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It is a crazy, man, and to just read some of this stuff and what he did and where he came from and how he lived, man, it's nuts. It's the Chad Benson Show. When it comes to costly car repairs, you need options. You can't sacrifice your family's safety on the road by bargain hunting for the best deal. That's why you need extended vehicle protection from CarShield. CarShield makes the process of fixing your car for a cover repair super easy. You can have your favorite mechanic or dealership do the work. It's your choice. They also provide 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car while yours is being fixed for free. If your car has 5,000 to 150,000 miles, it doesn't mean you have to pay high repair bills. CarShield administrators have paid out close to $2 billion in claims, and they're ready to help you. Save yourself thousands in future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate in extended vehicle protection like I did. Call 800-CAR-6000 and mention code Benson. Or visit carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. When it comes to costly car repairs, you need options. CarShield makes the process of fixing your car for a cover repair super easy. Call 800-CAR-6000 and mention code Benson, or visit carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. A deductible may apply.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
We need them to redefine organizations like Facebook as publishers so that they are responsible for the content that they put out.
Woo! Nigel Farage. Say what? What is he talking about? Well, of course, Facebook and all of these groups, these Twitter and everybody else, the arbitrary way that they tell people that they're suspended. Like me, for instance, 2 weeks ago, I was suspended for like 5 days from Facebook because of something that was posted. There was, that's posted. I can guarantee you can find it on other people's sites. It wasn't anything crazy. I mean, it was Kathy Griffin and her picture of Trump's head in that art thing she did when she was taking photography. I was just doing a photo shoot and it just happened. Whatever. I don't care. And I even stood up for Kathy Griffin at the time because I said, look, this is what it is being comic. You push the edge. But they suspended me because it only takes one person to say something. And I had several people who worked at Facebook who contacted me and said, all it takes is a complaint and you could shut somebody down. And it's crazy. And they can say that there's no left-leaning bias. That's the funny thing is people there's no left-leaning. There is totally a left-leaning. Don't tell me there's not. Don't. Just come on.
It's outrageous that Facebook say they're a platform for all ideas, when actually they are censoring conservative content. It's an outrage they're doing it.
Yeah. And he's right. But it's also their business, so they can do what they want with it. My issue is the arbitrary way that they do it, and that they say that they don't do it, yet they do it anyway. That's the issue. That's a lot of the issues. Like we were talking earlier about the professor, the awful professor at UC Davis, who tweeted out, over the last several years, the cops should be dead. The only good cop's a dead cop. They should shoot cops in the back. And that he even, doubled down on that in 2015. And now that these things have surfaced, people are, at UC Davis are sticking by him. And I'm like, look, I'm a free speech person, right? It's ugly. It's nasty. It's the speech you don't like that needs to be protected. My problem is it's when you say it should be an open space where people should be able to talk and share ideas, except those ideas. That's the frustration I think a lot of people have, the arbitrary weirdness of it all. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the best of Chad Benson.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
They want to know how you pay for it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
How do you talk to those Democrats that look at some of these ideals with skepticism?
I would say to them that that we have to reframe the perspective, and instead of looking at the issue of ensuring that all people have access to health care, because the premise there is that access to affordable health care should not be a privilege, it should be a right.
Yeah, access to affordable health care, it should be there. You should be able to. You should also be able not to want to purchase health care or to pay cash only or to do concierge doctor. You shouldn't be forced into something you don't want to do. Right? And even today, Nancy Pelosi's like, yeah, the affordability question's real. And everybody sees where the left is going, and they're going further and further left. That's one of the reasons why people wonder why, well, we need new blood. We need new blood. Here's the thing. What you want, maybe not if you're on the left, what you need if you want to get this guy out of the White House. Because not as much as Trump infuriates a lot of independents, frustrates a lot of people, you know what scares them more? The fact that the left is jockeying to be even further and further progressive and getting into a place where that scares them far most than the devil they do. And every time they start talking about things, this is the one thing I'll say lately for the press, is they are pushing on this thing called cost, right? They're asking questions. Cost. Now, here's the sad thing. A lot of them know none of this stuff is ever going to come off. And I always wonder, do people really believe that? Do people really buy into Medicare for all or free college tuition or everybody gets something free? Do you really believe that? Do you? Doesn't mean we can't make things better. Doesn't mean we can't get out of our own way at times and figure out ways to make it more competitive and bring down the cost. And we can't do things to make it better across the board in situations. Doesn't mean we can't do that. But do you really believe that there's no cost associated with any of this stuff? I'm always curious. It's like, I joke, Trump, you said Mexico was going to build the wall, and that's not happening. But did I ever believe that Mexico was going to build the wall? No, unless you were going to throw some bizarre, weird tariffs and start, and when they try to, put and send money back home, you're going to throw something on there. I never really thought, and I never thought we're going to get the entire wall built. But some people bought into it. So I'm curious about this, but I'm glad the fact that people are asking the cost, Let's talk about some of the cost.
It should not only be accessible to those who can afford it, it should be accessible to all. So then when people start saying cost, 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 my response is no, it's not about cost. It's about investment. It's about investment. It's not about cost.
No, it is about cost because you can't pay for something, right? Then it doesn't work that way. You've got to be able to pay for it, and that's the one thing America has issues with at this moment in time is we are no longer paying as we go. We're mortgaging. You're worried about, the climate tomorrow and the next day. We may fix the climate before we get rid of this massive debt, and there'll be nothing left for anybody to do. Hey, great, it's nice and cool outside. We've saved the world. It's a world that nobody wants to live in. Chad, that's ridiculous. Stop saying that. I think it's a fair question to ask. I really do. And the one thing that she does, Kamala Harris, that others don't do, is she says something there, and it's one word, and he changed that word, and it makes things, okay. It's an investment. It's an investment. All right. But you guys are a huge part of the problem. I can't shop around for my health insurance. I'm stuck with this. That's it. This is what I'm stuck with. Well, I don't need this. This is too expensive and has a bunch of crap I don't need. Right? Why can't I go say, this is exactly what I need? Could you imagine if car shopping was insurance shopping? Where they said, all right, in this area, all you're allowed to have is 1992 Hyundais. But you got to pay a premium for them. But you can't go anywhere else. This is all you're allowed to get. Well, I don't want that. Right? And you guys over here, you have a choice of 3 cars. You can literally get a Cadillac that is ridiculously expensive and has a bunch of crap that you probably don't need on it. But you're like, no, I don't. All I need is a bus pass. All I need is a train pass. All I need. No. This is it. That's a frustrating thing. It really is. Think about that. Like, what if you were reduced to, if you went car shopping? I mean, we let you buy a vehicle that you will spend so much time in going from point A to point B. And when you go to shop for healthcare, something more important, you are limited to this. That's frustrating. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Speaking of interesting and government getting involved in stuff, this is this is government ridiculousness at its best in Oregon, and it's in several other cities, but this is the first state to make it completely universal.
Everyone here knows that this is a groundbreaking piece of legislation, as we are the first state in the nation to enact this level of protection for our renters. The bill is a critical tool for stabilizing the rental market throughout the state of Oregon.
Oh, so they're going to stabilize. They're going to have rent control across the board in Oregon. Rent control across the board. That's a great, isn't that great? I mean, it's fantastic.
It will provide immediate relief to Oregonians struggling to keep up with rising rents and a tight rental market.
And how is it going to happen? Because now if I'm a person, it's a builder. Why would I want to build somewhere where you're going to control everything? Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to do any of those things? You look at any economist when they talk about things like this as a perfect example of government getting in the way, thinking, hey, you know what? We're going to do this. It's going to be fantastic, right? It's going to be fantastic. This will be great. This will be awesome. We'll go in there and we'll tell everybody it's rent control. You can only raise rent so much, and if you're a new builder, you can. We're gonna control what you can charge. It's a little bit more when you get down deep. There's certain things they can do, how much they can take things down. But the reality is why would you want to say to somebody who's willing to build something, this is what's going to happen, and now this is what we're going to do. So what would make me want to build there? Right? you're artificially creating a shortage by control. You look at economists across the board, they say short-term gain, long-term loss, because people say, I'm getting out of the rental market. Houses I was renting, rather than, if I know the marketplace, I can get $2,000 a month for it. I was only charging $1,000 or $1,100 because somebody's been there for a while, but the marketplace now would bear that. And you're telling me I can't do that, then I might as well sell it and take my money and go home. And now there's nobody renting the place. And oh, by the way, somebody's come in and bought it. So, well, that's great. Yeah, but not a lot of people can afford that. That's the whole point. This is about protecting renters, not buyers. But you're taking a situation and you're thinking, oh, this is great. This is going to help so many people. And people are saying, yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. And then, of course, you've got to throw in the kids, right? Because anytime you mention kids, everybody goes, oh.
We need to make sure that no kid shows up to school after spending the night in a car.
But you're making it worse. How, Chad? Because people aren't going to build. So what are you going to have? Less building. Less building means you're going to have people there still trying to rent. The housing market and the renter market is going to get squeezed even more because you're not adding on. California does the same thing. They make it so ridiculous to try to do anything that people are like, why would I want to do this? Why would I want to put myself to this? Why? The amount of time it takes. You make it virtually impossible with all of the fees and everything. You hurt. You scream and yell. Oh, we got a housing shortage, right? We got a housing shortage. Renters, it's tough. It's horrible. Houses are unaffordable. Oh, yeah, that's true. What do? Well, let's make it tougher. We'll tax the new existing homes even more that are being built. So that way, what? What are you doing? So that way nobody wants to build. It's government wanting to get more and more involved rather than let the free market say, hey, look, here's some rules. Follow these rules. We're not going to overtax you to death. You want affordable housing, allow people to build affordable housing. You know, I would look and say, all right, here's the deal. Like San Francisco is a perfect example of insanity, right? A perfect example of absolute insanity where you hear people on numerous occasions talk about the fact that there's homeless problems everywhere, people pooping in the street. It is disgusting and vile. It's a frustrating place to live. And yet when you see and talk to developers, they're like, yeah, I've been delayed 3 years on this project. Or I read an article last week in Reason or the week before. A guy got permission to redo part of his home. He knocked down an area that wasn't even originally part of the home. The building committee came in and told him he knocked down all of this stuff, all of which they said he could do because he's going to do duplex and all of this stuff there. And what happened? They came in and said, you have to rebuild the house to spec as before you knocked it down because we think it's a historical place, even though nothing historical has happened here and it's only been here since the 70s. And then they wonder why there's a crunch. It's insane, right? It's insane. They do it to themselves. But when you go after the low-hanging fruit in the voter world and you continue, rather than say, hey, how can we make your life better by giving you a better opportunity, showing you how to get yourself and outperform the place that you are in life so you can move up? No. I got a better idea. We'll control the rent here, which will artificially drive up the prices eventually because there's not going to be anybody and they're going to sell homes and then we'll have more people who won't be able to afford to live here. That'll be fantastic. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Chad, you're being so chatty right now. I know. So much stuff we're going to grab onto today. A lot of stuff, including Gary Sinise is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Yeah, that guy's awesome, right? Like all the stuff. I got his book, and it is really amazing to watch what he has done in his life and how he came about acting and the things that he was able to do along the way that all led him to a bigger, better cause than anything, and that is with his foundation and what he does for the men and women who serve our country. It really is. It's a great book, and I'm excited he's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Walmart is getting rid of their greeters, which has some people upset. But should you really be mad at Walmart? Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
No, deep doo-doo? Yeah, the Chad Benson Show.
When the customers come in, I greet the customers, and then if they have a return, I scan it and then put a sticker on it.
Adam loves his job and doesn't let his cerebral palsy hold him back.
Walmart is his heart. His job is his driving force in life.
But on Saturday, Adam says he was told that due to a change in corporate policy, his job description will change. He must now stand for his entire 8-hour shift. He must also be able to lift up to 25 pounds.
It's tough. Walmart's getting – here's the place that Walmart is, right? Like, this is the perfect example of when you're that big and Amazon's feeling it now, even though all of us benefit from these stores, right? We all benefit from Amazon. We benefit from Walmart. Walmart's trying to keep up in the ever-changing world, right? Today, JCPenney's closing a bunch of stores. They're not keeping up. They're falling behind. Walmart's trying to figure out, okay, how do we become leaner and meaner? How do we do some of these things? Because now we're trying to, you pick up, you drop off. It's not just what it once was. They're trying to say, okay, some of these people are going to be here doing this. Some of these other people's job descriptions are going to change, which means we need you to not only stand there and greet, you've got to clean the area around here, but also you're going to have to maybe get some of these things and take them out to the groceries because people are going to order online and pick them up. And that's really cool. I've been doing that a lot. It's really, really cool. There are some things that are happening and people are mad at Walmart. They're pissed off. They're angry. It's tough. And I was telling producer Phil, nobody hates Target. I go to Target. I was in Target over the weekend. You know what I didn't see? I didn't see anybody that was special needs or had any issues that would, like a person with cerebral palsy wasn't greeting me. They weren't working behind the counter. And Walmart's getting hammered for like, they're evil, they're evil, they're evil, they're evil.
Adam says that he has until April 26th to comply with the new regulations or he no longer has a job.
I'm not going to be able to do that.
I understand that corporate policies change, so if they want to make this change, that's fine. But I think that they should grandfather him in. He's been there for 10 years.
And maybe that's what they do. Some people say, well, they're hoping to be able to find other things. And I think that will happen for some places. For some, people are just not able to do it. Right? It changes. Like if tomorrow the station flips to Spanish, I can't say, can you grandfather me in? Do you speak Spanish? Poquito. A little bit, not much, but still. But Chad, no, it's not. It's a business. They're trying to keep up. They're trying to be profitable, and they're competing with a behemoth like Amazon, and they're doing several different things. So it's hard to be mad at them. And I know people are because you see the greeters, right? And let's be real, the greeters are interesting because they always look at your thing, right? Like, and they always like they're, and a lot of times, whether it's when you're walking out of the store and they look at your receipt and they give the little thing right through there, like it's TSA. And the entire time you're thinking, you never even looked in my bag. You never even looked. You don't even know what I have. You have no idea. But here's the thing that made me laugh about just the situation that Walmart's in. This is tough, and I'm sure Walmart's not thrilled by it because they've been a huge proponent of hiring people with special needs. They're getting hammered today, though, because there's a new dating show that's on their thing called Love is in the Aisle, and it's about people who are going blind dates in Walmart. And guess what? The American Family Association is taking aim at them, wants them to take down one of their episodes with two gay men on a blind date at Walmart, which is a weird place to go because it's elevating homosexuality. You can't win for losing, kids. You can't. Sometimes you just need sanity in the world to step back and shake your head and go, doesn't matter what we do, somebody's going to be mad. Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
The Chad Benson Show.
This is the best of Chad Benson.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You believe this is a historic moment?
Unequivocally. It kind of gives me a chill when I think I'm old enough, unfortunately, to have been there when John Dean testified before Congress when Alexander Butterfield revealed that Nixon was doing tapes, and this is that moment.
Potentially. I mean, we don't know exactly what Michael Cohen's going to say, but from what you know of Michael Cohen, he had access to a lot of information about.
Yeah.
Historic? Yeah, I think we'll look back and go, wow, this is when we as America, when it comes to our politics, really jumped the shark. And if you don't know what jump the shark is, it is a phrase used in Hollywood that everybody else throws around. And a lot of times I think people throw stuff around. They don't know what it really means. Happy Days was at the height of its fame and strength as a television show during the episode when they went from Milwaukee to California and we're out there in Hollywood, and Fonzie in his leather jacket, being from Milwaukee, water skied and jumped the shark. And ever since then, it was the turning point of its dominance and away it went. I think that's what we're going to look back on. Well, we did jump the shark here, didn't we? Because I think a lot of that is what's happening. But there he is testifying throughout the day, right? He's getting the fact that Debbie Wasserman Schultz asked him a question and then even question, this is about America and it's democracy. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the same woman who oversaw the screwing of Bernie Sanders. And you're going to sit there and talk about this? Give me a break. Now let's get back to the roulette of Cohen. We roll the little roulette ball there. We spin the wheel and we find out what he said. All righty.
He never expected to win the primary. He never expected to win the general election. The campaign for him was always a marketing opportunity.
Yeah. He talked about that. He said, this is going to be the greatest infomercial of all time. Every radio host, every television pundit, every person who writes an article, every human being that's had a thought, at some point in time has said to themselves, I wonder how serious Trump was about this. Even Trump said, I thought I'd be out after a while and I'd throw my support behind Chris Christie and we'd move on with ourselves. He looked at this as a great opportunity to build his brand. What started to happen is he built up momentum and then he realized he was dusting aside all of the favorites. And then he got into a situation where his brand was starting to be tarnished, but I think he thought, I got a shot at this. And lo and behold, guess what happened? Boom. He became president of the United States. But how serious was he coming down those escalators at Trump Plaza? I think we could always debate whether or not he thought this is what he wanted to do. Hell, we could probably even go back and say, given everything that he knows now, would he do it again? And I don't know if he would, but I do know this. He is president of the United States. Now, they did ask him a question about, just him in general, and they've asked him all kinds of questions, and he's thrown some stuff out about Trump.
He is both good and bad, as do we all. But the bad far outweighs the good. And since taking office, he has become the worst version of himself.
I don't know. First of all, you're not there anymore, right? And you saw all this for years. We didn't see this because Trump was in New York doing Trump things, and you saw him. I mean, part of the fun of the television show, right? The Apprentice is what? The way he fired and hammered people. It was supposed to be ruthless. You saw that in real life for years. This couldn't be a surprise to you. Like, oh, I didn't know he was like this. You knew it. You absolutely 110% knew it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. They're excited. I think they think they've got something here. I think they think this is it. They're going to catch him. It's over. It's done. And remember how this started? Like, okay, this is about collusion. Did he collude with Russia? Michael Cohen, who they're hoping and they're pinning everything onto, they're not really saying this is about Russia. He's like, I couldn't really tell you if there was collusion or not. So I don't know. So now it's so many other things that it potentially could be.
The events associated with Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal and attempting to obscure the fact that he was shutting them up so that they would not impact his campaign. All of that coming together, I believe, it's a high crime and misdemeanor. It is what the Congress at the time thinks is a high crime and misdemeanor.
But are you really going to prove it? Probably not. And you're also listening to somebody who is what? Who is absolutely a liar.
The Post Fact Checker database found that the president averaged more than 15 erroneous claims a day during 2018. Now, keep it honest, there is no doubt Michael Cohen has lied and lied a lot. He lied while working for Donald Trump for his company. He lied on TV promoting Trump's campaign, and he lied under oath to Congress. He's a convicted felon. The difference between him and President Trump is that Cohen has admitted to lying. The president has not.
Yeah. So, and Trump does. For those of you out there who think Trump's that walks this earth and he doesn't lie, the guy is full of it all the time. He says stuff all the time. He's full of crap all the time. Is it stuff that hurts us? No. Is it all too often stuff that's ridiculous? Yes, like I caught a fish. What kind of fish? It was a great white shark. It was a bluegill. You did catch a fish. Why did you say it was a great white shark? You didn't need to lie. Those are the things that drive us and everybody else crazy. I just look at today and say to myself, it just feels like we are becoming the world of the Kardashians and reality TV rules today. And I don't know if I want to be that. I don't, right? But I don't think we have much choice. I just don't. And it's sad. And now where does this go in the future when it comes to presidents and going after people that we don't like? That's a very fair question. So what happens in the future, right? In the future, when it comes to the president of the United States and somebody finds some unscrupulous things about them that they think, are we going to be doing this over and over again to satisfy our salacious appetite for the need for gossip? Or tea, right? We call it tea. That's gossip. That's the lingo, kids. The urban word of the day. Gossip? Tea is what that is. Speaking of America, Cory Booker, very interesting what he said the other day.
If you were in heaven around the time my father was born, even if you were a black guy like my dad, and you were going to pick a country to be born in, the United States would be at the top of your list because we were expanding middle class at a rate that there was creating opportunity. But now, if you're going to be born poor on the planet Earth, the United States of America is not going to be necessarily, if you're just looking to get out of poverty, if that's your only metric, this is not necessarily the top country if you're going to be born poor to get out.
Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. It is. It still is what it is. But you've got to fight the fight, right? How many times we talk about how much farther America has come, and not just America, but the globe when it comes to capitalism, all of these kind of things. But you've always got to talk about how much worse it is. Remember, our poor people have an obesity problem, right? Everybody I know that supposedly is poverty-stricken or struggles paychecks to paychecks, they all have cars, they all have air conditioning, they all have cell phones, and the dream is there if they want it. It's how much can you dream and what are you willing to do for your dream is the thing I always ask over and over to people.
And that's actually an assault on the very idea of the American dream. And so I think we need to be the party of reclaiming the dream.
Yes.
We need to be party of reimagining this nation to create great pathways of prosperity. And this is just one of those bills that my team and I are sitting down and saying, okay, how is this being rigged? How are the rules changed? How can we address those changes?
Well, look, the rules are rigged, right? The rules are rigged. So what do? You do two things. The rules are rigged, but they will let you also rig the rules for yourself if you're willing to put in the time and effort to find out exactly what those rules are. But as a person who, look, I look at politics, but I look at life and I look at issues like this and I say to myself, this is the kind of thing where you have to build up that monster of evil. And that evil is everything is rigged against you. And that's what the Democrats always talk about. And we touched on it a bit yesterday when you got somebody like Bill Maher coming out and basically telling about how half the country, the flyover country, or a good majority of the flyover country is just full of idiots and morons who don't quite get it. And you all the while trying to court them. You've got to build that permanent underclass of voters to continue to vote for you, to talk about how you're going to champion for them. But have you ever noticed all the while very little gets done? Yeah, absolutely. America's still the place for a dream. And I think Zig Ziglar, who is a great spokesperson and teacher of, business, used to say The elevator for success is out of order, but the stairs are always open. And that's something you have to ask yourself. And Jack and I talk about it all the time. Success is what you make of it, not what somebody else does, what you make of it. And you're going to run into situations where it's not fair, it's not cool, people are treating you bad, whatever it is. And this coach doesn't like you or that person doesn't like you. But guess what? You can overcome those things. But it's how much do you want to overcome it? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It is Kitty Litter 2.0. It is called Pretty Litter. It's amazing. I love my cat 3. If you guys don't know who 3 is, he's my cat that got shot, and we'd only had him a couple weeks, and he lost his leg. Well, we knew where it was. They just had to take it off. And I take care of him like you could not believe. That's why I got Pretty Litter. It's amazing. First and foremost, with a house full of lizards like I have, this huge place, it's an amazing house full of giant, huge reptiles, you would think, ooh, that's got to be stinky. It's not. It's the kitty litter that used to drive me crazy. It's the smell. It's awful. Well, guess what? With Pretty Litter, I got none of that. Yes, it can be messy. It can be nasty with all that stuff that you're taking in and out. But when you get Pretty Litter, it changes everything. You don't smell it anymore. You don't have to go to the pet store and buy these giant bags. It comes in this small bag that lasts you a month, and you're like, oh my goodness, how does that even work? Next level odor protection, which is awesome. So it's got these crystals, they're super absorbent. And here's the thing I also love about it. Because I love my cat, it actually monitors your cat's health. I know that's weird, but it does. So it changes colors to detect underlying illnesses before urgent care, medical care is needed, which is amazing. It really is. It's incredible. And when you get to something early, let me tell you, as you guys all know who have animals, if you get it early, it saves you tons of money, stress, and potentially your cat's life. Do what I did. Make the switch to Pretty Litter today. Visit prettylitter.com. Use the promo code Chad. You're going to get 20% off your first order. And these bags are small and they last a month. And you're going to be shocked. You're like, what? That's Pretty Litter. Pretty litter.com. Promo code Chad. 20% off. Prettylitter.com. Promo code Chad. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
That sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
Right now, like most states, the blood alcohol limit in California is 0.08%. Anything over that is a DUI. Only Utah has a lower level. Now, California lawmakers are considering a bill that would match Utah, lowering the blood alcohol limit for a DUI to 0.05%. Those who support the bill say the current level is too high and leaves drivers impaired.
Phil and I were talking about this, producer Phil and I, and it's like whenever you see somebody who gets into a horrific wreck when they're drunk, they're drunk, right? Even when I watch Live PD, who, sometimes it's like, well, you're an 07, and you should, it is the most preventable thing ever, right? Because especially now with Uber and especially now with like Lyft and all, you should never do it. But whenever they talk to these people or they have them, they're like, oh, yeah, he's a 0.24. It's never even close. Like, it's on the stand. No. They're just, and now they want to lower it to 0.05. I don't drink or have ever had a drink, so I wouldn't know. But I'm thinking, producer Phil, that's probably what, like a drink and a half for an average man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you'd be like, And I look at it and I think to myself, still the most preventable thing, right? Like it is the most preventable thing. You go out and you've had too much and then your friends don't do anything and you've got Lyft, you've got Uber, you've got taxis, you should have friends. You have all of those things. You'd never be in a situation, ever be in a situation where you drink and drive. But lowering it to a 0.5, I just... That feels like a money grab more than it feels like we're trying to make things safe. That to me is what it feels like. Speaking of safe.
Those studies were conducted in the United Kingdom and showed that some vaccines might cause widespread autism. But Washington State epidemiologist Scott Lindquist, a practicing pediatrician, tells me not only were the studies deeply flawed, the doctor who conducted them was stripped of his medical license. And yet, he says doubt continues today, leaving many children unprotected from a measles outbreak. that in his state alone this year has cost more than $1 million to combat.
Yeah, $1 million to combat. A guy that lost his license to practice medicine, and people are still fighting this. And who are the people? Well, it's simple when you look down and find out who are the people that are saying, oh, I don't want vaccinations. And I can understand not getting all of them at once. But come on. And whenever I hear people say, oh, Chad, how dare you attack the people that are, what are they, vaccine resistant parents or whatever. I'm just like, I'm looking at it from, first of all, I'm looking at it from a personal point of view. And understanding that, you know what, I got a disease when I was a kid that was supposed to be eradicated. And it was because people were coming here from countries they were allowing to come here in groups, mass groups, and they were integrating them in schools. And I got tuberculosis as a kid. And it was tuberculosis, but it was inactive. So I took a pill for a couple of years. I still have to go in every 12 months or every 24 months and have my lungs x-rayed. But we've got to do something about it. And they keep saying, well, we know exactly who it is that's not wanting these vaccinations.
Pediatrician Scott Lindquist, the state epidemiologist in Washington, tells me he's in the midst of a measles crisis.
You know, we're up over 66 cases at this point.
19 years after measles was declared eradicated in the United States, Lindquist says today's victims are mostly the children of anti-vaxxers. Lawmakers in Washington and 4 other states are now trying to limit or eliminate altogether the ways anti-vaxxers can keep their children from getting vaccinations designed to prevent deadly epidemics.
Yeah. And the way that I don't know what they're going to do because it's your child. You should be able to make those kind of choices, just like schools and everywhere else can make some choices on whether or not they want to allow your kid to be there or not be there. It's crazy. We'll tell them you can't bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich to school because some kid might be allergic to peanut butter. And at the same time, we'll let kids come to school who haven't been vaccinated. You scratch your head. You think to yourself, what is going on? What is going on? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of us. Yes, today, Michael Cohen is on the Hill getting grilled.
Mr. Cohen, you called Donald Trump a cheat in your opening testimony. What would you call yourself?
Ding, 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 ding.
A fool.
A fool. 10 years a fool right there, kids. 10 years a fool. You just sit back and say, reality television. America, we have officially jumped the shark. Move over, Fonzie. Here comes America. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the best of Chad Benson.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I want to move forward with this hearing.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, Mr. Chairman, this is a violation of the rule, and if it was not intentional, I would not have a problem. I'm not saying it was intentional on your part. I'm saying it's intentional on his part because Mr. Dean, last night on a cable news network, actually made it all very evident. John Dean, and I'll quote, holding your statement as long as you can so the other side can't chew it up is important as well, close quote. Mr. Chairman, when you were in the minority, you wouldn't have stood for it. And I can tell you that we should not stand for it as a body.
Oh, that's before Cohen ever said a word. They couldn't even. It was. I understand what's going on. Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, and a bunch of Republicans were angry because last night Cohen's attorney's out there. Everybody has got what Cohen's going to say, except for the Republicans, which is not the way it's supposed to be. They wanted to say, let's kick this thing down a few days and have a chance to go through all of this stuff. They weren't finished, right? Again, we have not even started yet. Talking about this Cohen's just sitting there like, no, we haven't started yet. We haven't even started yet. Not even started, and they're already like, wow, 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 wow.
Chairman, I was asking to be recognized before the motion.
I recognize you.
Tabling the motion.
You know who had this material before all the members of the committee?
Excuse me.
CNN had it before we did. CNN had the exhibits before we did.
Yeah, well, the vote is on tabling the motion to postpone. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no.
No.
The ayes have it.
I appeal the ruling of the chair. Yes, I can assure you it's in the rules. I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Do the rules matter, Mr. Chairman?
No. They voted on whether or not the rules should matter, and that was a big no. No, they don't matter. Elijah Cummings like, so you don't want him to be heard? They're like, we never said that. We wanted to postpone it for a day or two, which they should do, just out of the fact that we have an issue here called North Korea and the United States of America having a summit trying to get nuclear weapons and try to stabilize a region that has a miniature madman who threatens everybody. But now, we move on. We move on with this. You shake your head. You shake your head. That's what you do. You shake your head. Now, remember this guy. His name is Michael Cohen. For those of you who don't know, because you've been living under a rock and sequestered under that rock for so long that you have no idea that Trump is president and that Michael Cohen is his former personal attorney. And at one time said things like this.
I will use my legal skills within which to protect Mr. Trump to the best of my ability. I protect Mr. Trump.
I will do anything to protect Mr. Trump. I'm obviously very loyal and very dedicated to Mr. Trump.
And now says things like this.
Mr. Trump is a cheat.
Oh, he is?
He is a racist.
Okay. Say cheat. He's a racist. Those are the things he says now. Before, he's like, I'd take a bullet for him. I'll do anything. In fact, I would take a bullet train for him. If a bullet train was coming at Trump, I would do everything in my powers to stop it. But no, not anymore. Not anymore. Here's what I would have done the minute I heard this today coming out of his mouth. Now, Russia was supposed to be off limits because the behind closed doors is Russia, Russia, Russia. This is about the people asking the questions more than it is about the person answering the questions, even though I think he's enjoying this because I can look at him and see that he looks like he's having fun. Stark contrast to, remember Christine Blasey Ford? Her hair's no, he looks like he's having a good time. Right? Right? So this to me is where I'd have been, all right, we're done here.
Questions have been raised about whether I know of direct evidence that Mr. Trump or his campaign colluded with Russia. I do not.
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But I have
not.
But I have.
But please don't.
But I have.
I don't care.
But I have. But I have. But I have.
Don't stop talking.
But I have.
Somebody taser him. That's it. Okay, we're moving on. Do I think he is an evil human being, Trump? No, I think he's a businessman that is a shucker and a jiver. I think he's a guy who is as much, they called him a con man. I think he's a salesman. I think he's a giant salesman, but on a scale because of the fact that he's dealing in hundreds of millions and billions of dollars that is insane. Do I think he's done things in the past that are ridiculous? Do I think he found a guy in Michael Cohen who was squirmy and weaselly and who wanted to be part of the in crowd? I want to be part of the band, man. I want to be part of the in crowd. You guys are doing fun stuff. Nobody ever takes me to the party. I'm always picked last. That's who this guy was. That's exactly who he was. He's the pick last guy. The pick last guy. You know who he reminds me of? Now, Producer Phil, you've never seen this movie. It's called The 300. The 300? You probably never saw it. It's a great movie. In the movie, there's a guy that wants to be part of The 300, right? But he's kind of deformed looking. I'll say Michael, right? He's kind of hunchbacked. He's kind of creepy looking. And he wants to be part of it, right? Like he's like, I really want to be part of the 300s. Yeah, like, let me, come on, And they're like, nah, you can't do all the stuff that we can do. And he's got like a hunchback and he's got a weird face. I want to be part of the 300. And they're like, no, you can't. You're not, sorry, you can't do it, right? You can't, right? You can't do it. Can't be a part of the 300. So what's he do? Because he's so desperate to be part of something, he goes over to Xerxes. He goes over to the bad guy who will give him everything he wants because he wants to be part of the team. He wants to be part of the in crowd. So that's what he was. When you listen to him talk here, you know exactly what it's about.
Being around Mr. Trump was intoxicating when you were in his presence. You felt like you were involved in something greater than yourself, that you were somehow changing the world.
No. You wanted to be part of the cool stuff. You wanted to fly on a plane, and it's intoxicating. You ever flown on a private jet? It's pretty cool. Doesn't suck, by the way. Unless, of course, they crash. Then it, like, super sucks. But it doesn't, right? Hanging out with wealthy people, hanging out, getting the inside know that other people don't have, being able to have opportunities for you and your family at your fingertips, and, like, it does not suck. And when and I guarantee you go back and you look, and I bet you find out he was picked last and just about everything. He was just, he is a hanger-on. And he was willing to do anything to have the opportunity. I was telling to my friend the other day, you ever watch any of the vampire movies? They always have those people that can protect them in the daylight, right? Who want to be vampires. Like, that's what he is. He's that guy, right? He's that guy that you just keep doing what we ask you to do, and one day you'll have a chance to be like us. It's like being in the mob. Like, you keep doing what we're doing, and one day we'll make you a made man. He wanted to be that. He wanted to be that. But in the end, he's just Michael Cohen. That's it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So besides all of this stuff going on, there's another thing happening later tonight into tomorrow morning, but they're many hours ahead in Hanoi. That is part 2 of the summit.
I think this is very successful. Great relationship. I think we're going to be very successful. We look forward to it. We go through it. Have you walked back at all on the nuclearization in North Korea? No. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Part 2 of the summit. And this is important. This other stuff today is salacious. What went on yesterday and what's going on tomorrow is more important when it comes to sussing all this stuff out with Russia collusion and all of these kind of things. But this here is also very important. You've got our president halfway around the globe getting ready to sit down with the madman who, along with his family for decades, has threatened the world, has thrown temper tantrums, and has nuclear weapons, and could easily unsettle the balance of power in that area with South Korea and being the buffer also between China and all of these things. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And I can tell you tomorrow, most of the questions he gets will be very, very quick. Hey, did you guys feel it went well? Yeah. What do you think about Michael Cohen? What do you think about Michael Cohen? What do you think about Michael Cohen? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? He called you a racist, called you a liar, said you didn't love America, said it was just a giant infomercial, blah, 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 blah. That's why if I was Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows today, I said, can we not postpone this for 48 hours and do this on Friday? Can we not do that so we can get this done? And let the president do his thing over there, and then we can come back? One thing Trump talked about today when it comes to Lil Kim and North Korea.
I think that your country has tremendous economic potential, unbelievable, unlimited. And I think that you will have a tremendous future with your country, a great leader. And I look forward to watching it happen and helping it to happen.
Yeah, and when it comes to things like freedom and opening up things, capitalism will lead to freedom and democracy in a way that other things won't. And that's, you have, the tip of the spear isn't going to work with them. It's not. It is unsettling them to the point where you either break them, which we would have done a lot sooner had it not been for China and a few other rogue regimes that were willing to trade and do things with them and keep them afloat. But if we can overrun them with opportunities and freedom and economic opportunities, that in many ways will unsettle them, because you're not worried about, you don't want to blow the world up if everything's going good for you. So we'll see how that goes tonight. It's going to be very interesting. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Guys, you know what we are? We're terrible at taking care of our health. You know that. I know that. Right? You got a knee injury, a back injury. I raise my hand. Something worse. Right? We just rub a little dirt on it. We'll walk it off. Yeah, nah. All of us have been that way. You know it, right? Man up. Come on. The same is true for ED, erectile dysfunction. Studies show that 70% of guys experience ED don't get treated. Why? Well, they're embarrassed. But now there's Roman. And here's what they're doing. It's easy. It's amazing. You get to do everything online. Treated online for ED. How great is that? One-stop shop, licensed U.S. physicians. They can diagnose ED and ship medication right to your door. Guess what? No awkward face-to-face with the pharmacist, no weird conversations or any of those things. It's just simple. All you have to do is visit Roman.com, right, /Benson. You fill out a brief medical onboarding. You chat with a doctor, and an FDA-approved ED medicine is delivered straight to your door. Discreet, unmarked packaging. It's that simple. It is. Right? Don't be the person that's afraid to talk about stuff or avoid situations. Deal with it. It's better for you, makes you happier, and this has never been simpler. Do it today. Free online visit. It's on me. Go to Roman.com/Benson. That's GetRoman.com/Benson. GetRoman.com/Benson. BENSON. Free online visit. GetRoman.com/Benson. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. We got the roulette wheel of Cohen straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Rent free.
A second check. This one to him for reimbursement for the Stormy Daniels payment, but this one signed by Donald Trump Jr. And also Alan Weisselberg, who was the CFO of the Trump organization. So we have one check. This one we have a picture of, signed by Donald Trump when he was president of the United States in August of 2017. And now we're learning that Cohen will also produce a second check signed by, among others, Donald Trump Jr., the president's son.
Oh, my God. And in the memo, it says, for Stormy Daniels to protect the gift. No, it doesn't say any of that. But was he the president's lawyer? Well, he was. Does the lawyer does he have a retainer? So can you absolutely prove, and those are the only two checks you've ever gotten from President Trump ever? Well, no, this is the issue with stuff like this, right? Like, you know, he's on the Hill all day just yapping away. It's if you like Trump, he's a scumbag, rat, bastard, liar, is Andy Cohen. Not Andy Cohen, which would be more entertaining than Michael Cohen. Wouldn't it? I think so. And if you don't like Trump, everything he's saying today is true. He only lied in other situations. Nothing is changing. You're not waking up and going, tomorrow going, you know, I thought about it overnight and yeah, my mind's completely changed. It hasn't. Now, kids, it's time to play our favorite part of the day today. It is the Michael Cohen Roulette Wheel. Oh, let's see where. Oh, look where it landed.
Are you aware of any videotapes that may be the subject of extortion or blackmail?
I've heard about these tapes for a long time. I've had many people contact me over the years. I have no reason to believe that tape exists.
You know what tape we're talking about? The P tape. Yeah, that's the one right there. That's what they're talking about. That's exactly what they're talking about. That there tape. Yes. That's what they're talking about. That tape. Yes, that tape. Oh, my God. But he doesn't know. Doesn't know. I wonder if he's getting everything. Because remember, he's like Roger Stone trying to build up cachet of people who are sympathetic to him, so they'll throw him money. I don't know if that to be true. I don't know if that's happening with him. I don't know if anybody's sympathetic to any of Cohen's needs or wants or any of that stuff. So who knows? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every single one of you. What do you think? As you listen to some of this stuff today, as you hear it, I feel like we've jumped the shark as a country when it comes to our politics, that we've now crossed that threshold of appealing to the lowest common denominator with salaciousness and insanity. And I don't know if we're really moving the ball forward in this country. I think the things that should play out behind closed doors are more important than this. And I think this is more about photo ops. And it's just, it feels like afterwards, I think we need to go take a shower and just wash all this stuff off. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. She was on Tinder, and then they took her off. Wait till you hear why. And then wait till you hear what somebody did. Oh, my Lord. Just insane. Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
Chad Benson Show.
This is the best of Chad Benson.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
When Dietrich McGowan saw members of the Greenville, South Carolina Girl Scouts shivering in the cold outside a store recently, he shelled out $540, bought all the cookies they were selling so that they could go inside. Mom Kayla Dillard shared the photo. It went viral. You know how that goes. Now for the rest of the story. McGowan is also known as Fat and is one of several suspects in an ongoing drug sting. He's accused of trafficking heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. Those who sold him Thin Mints, Samoas, and Tagalongs say they had no reason to believe he was anything other than another of their valuable customers.
I hate it when good stories go wrong. That was a good story, and it's gone south because it was a great... He's smiling all the while. You draw the parallels with Trump, right? The person you think you know is not that person. The person who did good is not that person. The person who's doing good is only doing good to cover up the evil. Now back to Cohen Roulette. Oh, look at this one here. Cohen Roulette is a game we're playing where we're just spinning the wheel and we're finding out where it lands, and where it lands is here.
The president clearly, I think, as a result of Mr. Cohen's testimony, engaged in illegal, corrupt, intentional, and deceptive practices and statements in order to cover up the facts that clearly connect him and his campaign and his family to Russians' efforts to help him become president.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who grilled Cohen earlier in the day. It's all things Cohen, right? So we're coming up. We're coming up there with her. Isn't it amazing that she's even asking questions? Hey, do you remember that time when Bernie was running for president, the same time Trump was, and then he was going up against Hillary, and then we rigged it, and then even when I left, that we rigged it even more because Donna Brazil's like, here's some of the questions and answers that here's what you should say, and I'm going to ask Bernie, spelling questions. You're like, what? Yeah, that right there makes me laugh. How dare you? Who do you think you are? Debbie Wasserman Schultz? So imagine this, right? Dating in the age of apps and whatnot. And there's a swipe right, swipe left app. We'll call that Tinder. Well, a woman, semi-attractive woman, was on there. And guess what?
Within kind of a few hours, I was banned from the platform.
On the dating app Tinder, users swipe left to pass on potential matches and swipe right when they like what they see.
One Tinder user we're identifying only by her first name, Nicole, suddenly found she couldn't swipe any direction while on vacation in San Francisco from Vermont.
And they responded and said I had violated their terms of service and their community guidelines.
She suspects her profile photos may have offended some Tinder users in the Bay Area. For Nicole, hunting is a family affair, and these were the two images on her profile.
Yes, so there are two images of her with dead deer. I think one's like her brother, and then, so there's dead deer. There's nothing graphic. They're not chopping its head off or anything like that. And I maybe would have chose something else, right? It's nice that you can field dress some of these things, but I mean, and you're in San Francisco, kind of learn. But it is, she was like, well, I can't believe that I can't do this. And, oh, kids, don't worry. It's just getting started.
I cropped it in a way that there were no weapons or any kind of blood showing. My family, we are not trophy hunters. We hunt for food. We respect the animal.
Not only was she permanently banned from the app, a user from San Francisco took his complaint one step further.
An individual had emailed my employer with, screenshots of my profile and saying some not nice things.
Yeah, think about that. You've done nothing illegal. You've done absolutely nothing wrong. And they're like, well, I don't like that, so I'm going to take it upon myself to send this to your employer so they know. First of all, chances are if she's in Vermont, her employer is probably also in Vermont. Secondly, if they're in Vermont, chances are they too may hunt or own a gun. So, and if you're eating your meat that way, then at least you're doing it in a way that, quite frankly, is a very hipster way to do it nowadays. But, you're doing it real, right? You're doing it real. You're going out and you're doing it real. Now, why this is very interesting is because, remember, she doesn't have any guns. She's posing with just two cropped so you can see the animals. That's it. Here's the thing, though. She and he comparatively.
Plenty of images of men posing with their hunted animals, making provocative gestures and more. It appears none of them has been reported for violating Tinder standards.
It's really about this double standard that exists.
We reached out to Tinder, and a spokesperson sent us a statement saying in part, we have a team dedicated to investigating each report.
Yeah. She just wants equality. That's what she said. So other people are doing it. And that's what frustrates it. Like, take Tinder out of the equation, right? Just put Facebook, put Twitter, put Instagram, any of these things. That's the frustration is like when I got suspended like last week off Facebook for a week for something that was like 18 months old. It's the randomness. And it only takes one person to say, "Meh." I think some of these things, you should have to have multiple, depending on the size of the audience you have. If you've got 10 people and a person complains or two people complain, you can probably say, maybe we should do something. If you've got 1 million people and one person complains, does that million have to listen to the one person? And we have to do this. You have, in the randomness of it all, it frustrates a lot of people. It does. It absolutely does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. We are playing Michael Cohen Roulette today. That's where we spin the wheel, throw in the ball, and see where it lands.
Oh. I've talked to the president over 300 times. I've not heard one time a racist comment out of his mouth in private. So how do you reconcile it? Do you have proof of those conversations?
I would ask you to
Do you have tape recordings of those conversations?
No, sir.
Mark Meadows and Michael Cohen. Do you have proof? Do you have proof of that at all? Do you have proof, Michael Cohen? Do you? Is Trump a nice guy?
Are you saying that all the reports that you were paid, in some estimates over $4 million, to have access and understanding of the Trump administration, you're saying that all of that was just paid to you just because you're a nice guy?
Well, I am a nice guy, but more importantly,
I would beg to differ. The record reflects that you're not a nice guy.
Oh. Trump's a nice guy and gave you $4 million, or you're a nice guy and he's a jerk. Got to figure it out, guys. Got to come together. got to come together. All the while, Trump is eating and hanging out with Kim Jong-un. Apparently, they had a little surf and turf today as they get ready to have summit number 2. Summit number 2, which will be very interesting to see how this plays itself out tonight. I don't know how it's going to play itself out because while all this is going on, Trump is sitting there watching this apparently, fuming at all of these things, and because that's what he does. He lets it eat him up inside. You knew this was coming. And I don't think it was the right time to do it. I think if you wanted to hear it, I have zero problems with that. I think you could have done it at a better time when Trump wasn't in a situation like this. And it's much easier to reschedule Michael Cohen, as we've done on several occasions, than it is this entire dog and pony show. Because think about this, little Kim Jong-un, he didn't fly there. He took a train, right? He'd borrow a train and a car, and it's so they could have done this in a better way as far as the timing went. That was just my assessment on this, because I think what they're talking about is far more important than the salaciousness and the arguments and the grandstanding and politically that's going on today at the Hill.
We made a lot of progress, and I think the biggest progress was our relationship is really a good one.
It's a good one. We're in love. I don't know if we're going to adopt, but there's a possibility. You don't know. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Oh, my goodness. This is so insane. We've jumped the shark. If you look at our political world that we're in right now, right? Look at our political world that we're in right now. So what do we have? We have Donald Trump, who was a playboy, millionaire, then billionaire, who dominated the back pages of all the New York papers, right? Right? He dominated those for years. He's had plenty of torrid affairs. He's had really some ups and downs in business. He then became more solidified in business. He grew his brand. On top of that, he then decided to become more vocal over the years. Then he got a hit TV show, and from the hit TV show, he said, hey, I'm going to run for president. Lo and behold, he's president of the United States. You've got this stuff going on with his hanger-on. We were talking earlier, we're trying to compare who Michael Cohen is. And I said, well, he's also he's like a vampire who always has somebody who watches his back, or is like a hanger-on. And I remember the movie Blade, somebody's like daywalkers or familiars. They get little tattoos because they want to be vampires. It's like an apprentice. And that's kind of what this guy is. And watching all of these things and the way that we've done stuff over the last, 36 months, and the way that we've handled politics, we've jumped the shark as Americans. We've jumped the shark. We have. We got to do better. I look around and said, we've got to do better than this. This is just ridiculous. It really, really is. It is. And have you learned anything today? That's what I want to know from you. Has anybody learned anything today that is changing your mind on Trump? Cohen? I've learned absolutely nothing. And when he was asked or offered up the most important piece, right, the most important piece of all of this stuff, which was about Russian collusion, even though they weren't really supposed to talk about it, but in kind of a roundabout way, he said this.
Questions have been raised about whether I know of direct evidence that Mr. Trump or his campaign colluded with Russia. I do not. And I want to be clear.
No, that's all we need you to say. That's it.
But I have.
Nope, don't care.
But I have.
Shh.
But I have.
Stop talking.
But I have.
Stop talking.
But I have.
Arrest him. Oh, he's already been arrested? All right, there you go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, he went on to say this. Shh, be quiet.
But I have my suspicions.
Doesn't count. Suspicions. My hunches and suspicions don't count. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Blink is amazing. White House should get Blink, right? Cameras, good cameras, not the cameras they have. It's the White, it's the government. The cameras probably won't work. You Blink, put them all over. You got motion activated cameras, right? They got the Blink smartphone app. You can go on there. You can download, so you get live feed option. And these cameras they have are incredible. The camera system, it's the Blink Outdoor XT camera system. Right now, they got a great thing. It's 20% off. Let me tell you something. I love it. I've got them for outside. I've got my cameras on the inside so I can see. I call it the Winston cam because Winnie's always wandering around. I can go and check. I was like, oh, he's moving around. He's doing something. Usually getting into no good. If you guys don't know who Winston is, he's my ginormous lizard. He's awesome. So why would you get Blink Home Security? First of all, you want to know if something's going on outside your house. Somebody casing the joint. Because when they're inside, it's too late. Right? Also, in a day and age when we get so many things delivered, do you trust that your stuff's not going to get taken? Not anymore. That's where Blink comes in. It is awesome. So easy to use. Motion-activated indoor and outdoor cameras. Wire-free setup in minutes. No subscription. 2 lithium batteries run up to 2 years. Boom. Here's what they're doing right now for my listeners. Blink's Outdoor XT camera systems. Impressive, incredible, awesome. They're 20% off right now. Boom. Hurry, though. Sale ends March 16th at midnight Eastern. Visit blinkprotect.com/sale. 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 Blink is an Amazon company, and guess what? It works with Alexa. It's the Chad Benson Show.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
It's great to be with you. We had a very successful first summit. I felt it was very successful. And some people would like to see it go quicker. I'm satisfied. You're satisfied.
Think about this for just a second. The President of the United States is having a better day hanging out with a despot that has killed people using anti-aircraft guns, flamethrowers, and wild dogs than with his own former personal attorney. Jump the shark. Jump the shark. Let's do it one more time, kids, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages. Shall we? Everybody sit back. We call this, we've been doing it all day, why stop here, right? It is our new favorite thing. It is the wheel of Michael Cohen. Look where it lands here.
It has to do with your claim of racism. She says that as a daughter of a man born in Birmingham, Alabama, that there is no way that she would work for an individual who was racist. How do you reconcile the two of those, Mr.
As neither should I, as the son of a Holocaust survivor.
Yes, but you called Trump a racist. You called him a lot of things today, Michael.
Mr. Trump is a cheat.
A cheat. He's a cheat. He's a racist. He's all of those things. But did it change anybody's mind today? I do not think it did change anybody's mind. I think if you thought Trump was Trump, you recognize that you still believe that. And a lot of people who believe and support Trump also know that he's a lot of the things that Michael Cohen is saying today. And if you hope that there's some sort of smoking gun that is going to take him down, that today was the day, chances are it's more salacious and embarrassment than it is criminal. And because of that, business as usual. That's what you're going to get. Business as usual. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So today, and I'll post a picture in a little while, I went to the gym this morning. Right, because I got a long day. I'm doing a ton of shows. So I go to the gym and I want to get a workout in, right? And I go and I get a workout in. And in the middle of, showering and changing, they scream, "Woman coming in." I thought, well, that's weird. And sure enough, 2 women come in to clean the men's locker room. And they put up a little sign that says "Woman inside." And people are walking around. Some people are coming in and out of like the sweat box thingy, and they're naked. And it's just, and I thought to myself, my God, will that happen on the woman's side? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Here's your useless information of the day. In 1980, Detroit gave the key to the city to one Saddam Hussein. We've been jumping the shark for a long time. Have a good rest of your day. As always, night, Jack.
You're listening to the best of Chad Benson.
This is the Chad Benson Show.